Okay, so I'll share my screen again and get started. Yeah. Some very interesting things we'll learn today, and we'll be reading from pages 8 to 12 is not the right one. I think it's from 13 to 17, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 13 to 17. Before that, as usual, I'll simply first. So before that, I will offer my obeisances to our founder Acharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. This session is dedicated to him for his pleasure and for the pleasure of Guru Gauranga and the entire Guru Parampara of his Islam. Whatever I am going to say today, I'll merely repeat what I have heard in the lectures of Srila Prabhupada. I'll merely repeat what I have read in the books of Srila Prabhupada. And I'll merely repeat what I have learned from my Siksha Gurus and the Guru Parampara of his Islam. Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Um, So agenda for today will be Mangalacharan first, and then we will move on to the introduction. Actually, you know what, I thought that I will kind of go back to the PPT mode and finish off the introduction part quickly. But then when I started reading it, I thought that no, we should not be missing out on the beautiful purports of Srila Prabhupada, basically. So I decided that we'll read it out. If at all I see that we are lagging too much, then maybe I can, towards the end, I can just wrap up in using PPTs and explanations. Okay. But this is, I think, the entire introduction is very good, basically. It's good for everyone. And as we always say, that one who has grasped the introduction of Bhagavad Gita as it is, they will become very good preachers of Bhagavad Gita, actually. Excuse me. So yeah, pages 13 to 17 we will read after Mangalacharan, and then there will be some question and answers. Okay. Then we'll try to find out answers to some of the questions here. First is, why should Vedic knowledge be accepted as it is? Okay, there is no room for ifs and buts and our own philosophical speculation as far as Vedic scriptures are concerned, or as far as the directions which are given in the Vedic scriptures are concerned. Okay? So we will see why it should be accepted as it is. Secondly, why this body consciousness is only an illusion. Okay, we all are attached to so many things around us, but it's all an illusion, and we'll see why. By meditating upon one very nice pastime, which is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is the pastime of King Chitraketu. Okay, how King Chitraketu was completely illusioned, uh, and then how Narad Muni and Angira Muni, basically, they helped him out from that illusion. Okay, and then we will see what is dharma. Okay, so we'll try to find answers to these questions today, and of course, question and answers will be there at the end. In the end. So before we start, I would do the Mangalacharan. I'll invoke some auspiciousness by chanting some pranam mantras. Those who know these mantras, please stay on mute and try to repeat after me. Those who don't, just try to listen to these mantras very carefully and very attentively, because even listening is very, very purifying. Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadagamlam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घिते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वर। हरि ओम। All right. So we will move on to the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, and we can start in alphabetical order, maybe. Okay, Ishita Mataji, will you be able to read?
Yeah,
Yeah, so first two paragraphs, Mataji, from all Vedic knowledge.
yeah.
I'll tell
All
you
right,
when to stop.
all right, let's start. All Vedic knowledge is infallible, and Hindus accept Vedic knowledge to be complete and infallible. For example, cow dung is the stool of an animal, and according to Smriti or Vedic injunction, if one touches the stool of an animal, he has to take a bath to purify himself. But in the Vedic scriptures, cow dung is considered to be purifying agent. One might consider this to be contradictory, but it is accepted because it is Vedic injunction. And indeed, by accepting this, one will not commit a mistake. Subsequently, it has been proved by modern science that cow dung contains all antiseptic properties. So, Vedic knowledge is complete because it is above all doubts and mistakes, and Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is not a question of research. Our research work is imperfect because we are researching things with imperfect senses. We have to accept perfect knowledge, which comes down as is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. But the parampara, disciplic succession, we have to receive knowledge from the proper source in disciplinic, sorry, disciplic
Disciplic succession.
succession. Disciplic succession, beginning with the supreme spiritual master, the Lord Himself, and handed down to a succession of spiritual masters. Arjuna, the student who took lessons from Lord Sri Krishna, accepts everything that he says without contradicting him. One is not allowed to accept one portion of Bhagavad Gita and not the other. No. We must accept Bhagavad Gita without interpretation, without deletion, without our own whimsical participation in in the matter. The Gita should be taken as the most perfect presentation of Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is received from transcendental sources, and first words were spoken by the Lord Himself. The words spoken by the Lord are called, Prabhuji, can you help me there?
Apurusheya. Apurusheya.
Apurushaya. Aparushaya, meaning that they are different from words spoken by person of the mundane world, who is infected with the four defects. A mundaner is one, is sure to commit mistakes. Two, he is invariably illusioned. Third, has the tendency to cheat others. Fourth, is limited by imperfect senses. With these four imperfections, one cannot deliver perfect information to all pervading knowledge.
Knowledge. Thank you so much, Mataji. I think again, like very beautiful purport, very nicely he has explained, like why Bhagavad Gita should be taken as it is without any contradictions. Okay. And one example I would like to cite is, there was a discussion going on, and I was also involved in that discussion, right? I'll not get into much details of this, but this actually happened. So there was one person who actually, like in ISKCON, once the devotees become a little mature, they become little senior devotees, then it is expected that they will be following the four regulative principles very seriously. Okay, and one of the four regulative principles is no meat eating. Now, no meat eating, basically what it does is that it's not just non-vegetarian food and eggs, but also onion and garlic. And where do we derive this information from? So there is a book called Manusmriti where an entire chapter is basically dedicated, for all the sinful reactions which a person incurs if they consume meat or non-vegetarian food. But that's a separate topic of discussion. In the Bhagavad Gita, when it comes to onion and garlic, it clearly states that any food which is very pungent, this you will find in chapter number 17, verses 1 to 10. Okay, if you read. So you'll find that any food which has a very pungent smell, basically, and it's either too bitter or too sour or too spicy. Okay, these all are in the mode of passion. Okay. And in order to elevate ourselves on the platform of spirituality, we first need to elevate ourselves to the mode of goodness. So there are basically three modes of material nature. We'll read in the Bhagavad Gita as we progress. Okay, so first is the mode of goodness, which is known as the Satogun. Second is mode of passion, which is Rajogun. And third is the mode of ignorance, which is Tamogun. So mode of passion and mode of ignorance are considered to be the lower modes of material nature. Okay. As long as a spirit soul is situated primarily in one of these two modes, okay, then there is no chance for him or her getting liberated from this cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Okay. Unfortunately, in this age of Kali Yuga, most of us are situated in either of these two modes of passion and mode of ignorance. We will see, okay, what are the characteristics of person who is in the mode of passion, what are the characteristics of person who is in the mode of ignorance, and what are the characteristics of person who is in the mode of goodness. So similarly, food can also be divided into these three categories, and it is clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita that any food which is very pungent smelling, which is very bitter, which is very sour, or which is very spicy, they are all under mode of passion. Okay. So there was one person who tried to interpret this. Okay, that how can you say a food is very spicy? Okay, like different people have different tolerance level for spices, and food which is very spicy for you may not be very spicy for me, right? So this is the mundane interpretation. Okay, like you cannot apply your brains and don't try to find a loopholes. That okay. So basically, what he was trying to prove is that thoda thoda sab kuch karna chahiye, right? I mean, it's not absolutely mandatory. And why do we have this kind of mindset? Is because we simply want to enjoy. Okay, as I have been saying in my previous sessions, that we have come in this material world simply to enjoy, right? So what happens is that anything which is conducive for our sense gratification, we tend to accept that, and anything which is not conducive to our sense of gratification, we tend to reject that. Okay, but here we can clearly see what Srila Prabhupada is saying, that Bhagavad Gita should be accepted as a whole. Okay, we cannot simply use our brains to say, okay, which food is, the smell of a food is pungent or not. That is very relative. It varies from person to person. Okay, we cannot say the spiciness in the food, varies from person to person. No, simply if the food is spicy, too spicy, or if it is too sour or it's too salty, it is in the mode of passion. Period. Okay, there should not be any discussion over that. It has to be accepted as it is because it is coming from the absolute source. It is none other than Lord Krishna himself. And as far as the spirit souls are concerned, what is there? We are inflicted by four defects, which is mentioned here, right? One is the imperfection of senses. And because our senses are imperfect, we are always illusioned. Okay. And because our senses are imperfect, we also have tendency to commit mistakes. And because we have tendency to commit mistakes, we also have the tendency to cheat, okay, just to prove ourselves right. So these are some of the main concepts which we can derive from these two paragraphs. And any one of you, if you have any questions, I would request you to please note them down. And please, you can ask me in the last 10 to 15 minutes. We will dedicate solely for question and answers. Okay. And we'll move on. Ivana Mataji, would you like to read? the next two paragraphs?
Yes, Prabhuji. Vedic knowledge is not imparted by such defective living entities. It was imparted unto the heart of Brahma, the first created living being, and the Brahma in his turn disseminated
Disseminated.
this knowledge to his sons and his disciples, as he originally received it from the Lord. The Lord is the Purnam, all perfect, and there is no possibility of his becoming subjected to the laws of material nature. One should therefore be intelligent enough to know what the Lord is, to know that the Lord is the only proprietor of everything in the universe, and that he is the original creator, the creator of Brahma. In the 11th chapter, the Lord is addressed as Param
Or
Pitama,
Pitama.
because Brahma is addressed as Pitama, the grandfather, and he is the creator of the grandfather. So no one should claim to be the proprietor of anything. One should accept only things set aside for him by the Lord as his quota for his maintenance. There are many examples given of how we are to utilize those things which are set aside for us by the Lord. This is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. In the beginning, Arjun decided that he should not fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. This was his own decision. Arjuna told the Lord that it was not possible for him to enjoy the kingdom after killing his own kinsmen. The decision was based on the body because he was thinking that the body was himself and that his bodily relations or expansions were his brothers, nephews, brother in laws, grandfathers, and so on. Therefore, he wanted to satisfy his bodily demands. Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord just to change this view, and at the end, Arjuna decides to fight the war under the directions of the Lord. When he says, Krishe va,
Karishye Vachanam Tava.
I shall act accordingly to your word.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji. Yes, so another, there are a couple of important things here, and which I would like to explain. And we will also listen to a story, although a short story, but yeah, I would like to um, speak about King Chitraketu. Yeah. So, first thing, that very important thing to note here, okay, Lord is the only proprietor of everything in the universe, and that He is the original creator and even the creator of Lord Brahma. Okay, and one should accept only things that are set aside for Him by the Lord as His quota for His maintenance. Okay, so in this era, we see that we are simply crazily running after money or all the material opulences. Okay, we just you can make it out. Okay, like people just want to have a luxurious house. People want to have a luxury car. They want to have a very nice bank balance. Okay, so and all the retirement planning and everything is going on, right? If you look around. But then our Vedic scriptures are actually speaking contradictory to that. Okay, uh, you should not have the tendency to accumulate things. Okay, because this particular tendency is not very conducive for your progress on the path of spirituality. Okay, and sadly, this tendency to accumulate things is only found in humans. Okay? Like, for example, if you just throw a bag of rice on the road, okay, and just observe what happens. If you see that if the birds are coming there or some animal is coming there, they will come there, they will eat some rice, I mean, to their heart's content, and then they will fly away or they will go away. Okay, they will not carry those things with or extra rice with themselves. Okay, but if a human comes and finds a bag of rice lying there on the road, what will he do? He'll simply pick up that bag and take it home. So this is our tendency, our inherent tendency to actually accumulate more than what is required. Okay. But in Sri Ishopanishad, there is one very beautiful shloka, which is called as the Ishavasya principle, right? And it says, Ishavasya idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita ma gridha kasya svidhanam. That means everything animate or inanimate belongs to the Supreme Lord, and one should very carefully accept only what is set aside as his quota and reject everything else, knowing well to whom they belong. Okay. So, and even, and we should understand this, right? Like in the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna clearly says that Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Mano Buddhi Revacha Ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtadha. That means earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These eight are my separated material energies. Okay. Now you just imagine, try to think, just see the things around you, and think about it, that what is there in this material world which does not have either of these eight things, or a combination of these eight things. Everything is just made up of these eight elements only, right? So when Krishna himself is claiming that these eight elements are his separated energies, then where do we stand, right? What is ours in this material world? Nothing, right? We are simply staying here in this material world as a tenant, basically, right? And the Lord is the, what to say, landlord, basically. As it is said, like in Bangalore, a lot of people are staying in the rented flats. So yeah, so just like Lord is a landlord, we are staying as a tenant. The moment he asks us to vacate, we'll have to vacate. Okay, there is no other option for us. So nothing is ours, but falsely, just because of body consciousness, we actually start thinking that okay, we maybe we purchase a flat, then okay, this is my house. We purchase a car, this is my car. We get married, this is my spouse, my kids, my this, my that, my parents, my everything, right? So this is completely illusion, and exactly under the same illusion, Arjun was not willing to fight the battle of Kurukshetra, right? Because when he came on the battlefield and he saw that his grandparents, his people who were contemporary to his father, so he treated them as his father, right? Such people. Then his nephews, right? His friends, his cousins, everyone was there on the battlefield and they were all standing against him. Okay. Now just imagine to, you know, even in a joking way, if you try to fight and with any of your relatives and they get little bit hurt, we are so concerned कि अरे चोट तो नहीं लगी ना मतलब बस मजाक में कर रहा था, like that. And here the entire family was standing against him. They were ready to kill him, right? The real fight was about to happen. So you can just imagine the mindset of Arjun, right? We are all illusioned. We are all, having so much attachment with all our family members in particular, right? And you can just imagine the situation of Arjun. And that this was a time when he just surrendered unto Krishna, and Krishna gave us the Bhagavad Gita and dispelled all the doubts and all the illusions from his mind. Okay. And then Arjun came to his correct consciousness, that is, he is the spirit soul, he is not the body, right? And the spirit soul has a tendency to transmigrate from one body to another since time immemorial. Okay, this has been going on and on and on and on. Okay, you won't be even able to remember. And this particular illusion that okay, these are my parents, my kids, my family members, and everything, it is there only as long as this. Just give me a second. Okay, so uh, so yeah, so what I was saying, that this, because of this body consciousness, this has been going on, and spirit soul is transmigrating from one body to another. Okay, so exactly to get over this illusion, and Krishna dispelled all his doubts, and how he actually explained the Bhagavad Gita, like we will come to know once we start reading it. But in the meanwhile, I would like to give you one very nice example of King Chitraketu. Okay, and this story is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, sixth canto, chapter number 17. I'm not wrong. Okay, 17 or 14, I'll have to check. 15. Yeah. So in chapter 15, we will see. Okay. And so we will come to know that, okay, we are in this illusion that, okay, these are my parents, my home, my kids, my wife, my husband, or all these things. These are there only as long as you are present in this material body. Okay. The moment you quit this body, what happens, that all the illusion goes away, and then you come to your actual consciousness that, oh, I'm a spirit soul and I have been transmigrating from one body to another, for so many lifetimes. So it's just like waking up from a dream, basically, right? So we are currently in this body, we are in the state of dream, and then we assume that everything around us some things belong to us, some things don't belong to us. We aspire for something, we work hard for all these things. But at the end of the day, all the effort that we put in, to gain any material opulence is all futile, right? Because at the time of quitting our body, at the time of death, none of these things will, come to me, to save me, basically, right? At the time of death, the number of projects that I have executed successfully in my office will not come to my rescue. At the time of death, my family members will not be able to do anything for me, right? It's only the holy names and the pure devotional service that you execute during your entire lifetime that will determine, what will be your next destination. Okay, whether you will get a spiritual form or you will have to come back again. Okay, so with that, we will try to understand this whole concept, very nicely when we read about Chitraketu's lifetime. Okay, Chitraketu's pastime, basically. So it so happened that there was a king called Chitraketu. Okay, and he did not have any child, basically. Okay, he was childless, and initially, like, he tried to beget a child from his wife, but she couldn't conceive. So he married and married and married, and in that process, he had millions of wives, basically. Okay, but call him his destiny or whatever, right? None of the wives could conceive, and he was still childless. So he was ruling his kingdom, and slowly he also, started becoming very tense. That, okay, what will happen? Like, what will happen to this kingdom, and what will happen to me? Because in the Vedic scriptures, it is said that the son is basically someone who, performs the last rites of the father, and that actually liberates the father from this bondage of life, death, and rebirth. That is why he's known as Putra. Putra means Tarnevala. Okay, so this is what Chitraketu's tension was all about. That what's going to happen? Okay, because he's not having a child. So one day so happened that there was a sage called Angira Muni, and he actually visited Raja Chitraketu, and as he visited, Chitraketu was obviously a very, decent king, and he was also a very good devotee. So basically, he knew all the Vedic scriptures and the behaviors one should exhibit, when such a highly enlightened sage comes to visit them. So he just welcomed him very nicely, offered him a nice place to sit, and just like, very nice, in a very nice and humble way, he basically welcomed that sage. And Angira Muni was very happy with all these things, and he said that you are ruling the kingdom very nicely, and I can see that, all the material opulence are there with you, but you still look very, disturbed and very sad. So what is the reason for your disturbance or your sadness? What is there? Okay, that if I can help you with something like that. So Chitraketu told him that, okay, the only thing which worries me right now is that I am not having a son, and I don't know what's my future going to be. So please help me out if you can. So Angira Muni thought for a while, and then he said that, okay, I will perform a yajna, and you will get a child. So Chitraketu was very happy. So quickly he arranged for all the, made all the arrangements for the yajna, and Angira Muni actually performed that yajna. And then whatever foodstuffs that were offered in the havan, in the yajna, during that yajna, the remnants of that foodstuffs he just collected, and he gave it to Chitraketu and said that, okay, give it to one of your wives. Okay, he had millions of wives, mind you. Okay, and he said that give it to one of your wives, and you will get a child. So the eldest wife of Chitraketu, she was the most deserving candidate. So we'll come to know, like, in the Bhagavatam, it is explained in detail. I'm not going to get into those things, but he gave it to his eldest wife, and he ate the remnants, and then finally she got pregnant, and Chitraketu was very happy, right? Extremely happy, and he just gave away so many, like, so many things in charity. Okay, just he just opened his heart, okay, to all the brahmanas and all the, needy people, actually, right? But Angira Muni, like, before leaving, he actually warned him that, okay, you will be getting a son as you had desired, but mind you that this son will be the cause of your happiness as well as your lamentation. Okay, So Chitraketu basically didn't pay much attention to this warning because he thought कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या होगा, मतलब अ, वो मेरा सारा राजपाट ले लेगा, मेरा पुत्र जो है. So it's okay. Yeah, he will not be a very disciplined person, so that's okay. But it's better than not having a son at all, right? But here, one thing to understand that when these very learned sages or saints basically, when they come and when they speak to you, okay, so each and every word they speak has a very deep meaning to it. Okay, our consciousness or our intelligence is not advanced enough to read between the lines. What they are saying. So it's always advisable that whenever any such saint is speaking to us, we just take we ask them. Like asking questions is not a problem, right? I mean, it is always advised that in the most humble way, not to counter them or not to contradict them, okay, but just to get the clear understanding of what they are saying. You need to ask some questions, and we must be doing that actually. Okay? So but Chitraketu, like he was very happy, and in that happiness, he was ignorant about all these things. So he did not pay much attention to this, and then finally the baby was born, and obviously, needless to say, the entire kingdom was very happy. Chitraketu was very, very happy. His wife, who had delivered the baby, she was very happy. And as the time passed, like what the analogy which is given in Srimad Bhagavatam is that if a poor person suddenly gets a very huge sum of money, okay, huge fund of money, then his attachment to that money keeps on increasing with every passing day, right? So similarly, since Chitraketu had, begot his son after a very long time and after marrying so many women, basically. So uh, his attachment also towards his son, grew with every passing day, and same was the case with his wife, who had delivered the baby. So he was so attached to his son that slowly he started forgetting his other wives, and he had millions of wives, mind you, right? So he started forgetting them and he started neglecting them. And needless to say that all his wives became, they were sad, first of all, by the kind of ignorance which Chitraketu was showing towards them. And then slowly they started envying the eldest wife also. They became jealous of her because she was the one who had delivered the baby. And she was getting all the attention of Chitraketu, and others were getting neglected. So because of this jealousy, they committed a very heinous act, actually. Okay, and they poisoned that baby, and that baby ultimately died. Okay, and needless to say, Chitraketu and his wife were devastated. The entire kingdom was devastated with the news. Okay, and they were all lamenting very piteously. And seeing their grief, even the other wives who had poisoned the baby, they also realized their mistake and they also started grieving. Okay, although at a later stage it is actually said in Srimad Bhagavatam that they lost all their beauty, physical beauty, and they had to suffer very badly, for as a sinful reaction, for this particular act actually. So, but still, like Chitraketu was inconsolable, he was crying piteously. So, Angira Muni came to know about this, and he, along with Narad Muni, again visited him. And he said that, see, I had told you that this child will be the cause of your happiness as well as your lamentation. But, and at that time, uh, both Angira Muni and Narad Muni, they also started saying the same things which basically Krishna has said in the Bhagavad Gita, okay, that we are not the spirit soul, we are not the body, we are the spirit souls, and you should not lament because everything here is temporary arrangement. For some time we come together, and then after a period of time we just part our ways. Okay, that is the nature of this material world. So just like you put on one cloth, and when the cloth grows old, then you simply change it, right? So similarly, the spirit soul keeps on changing its body. So one should not lament. An intelligent person doesn't lament with such a change. Doesn't is not disturbed by such a change. But Chitraketu, like it's difficult. Like when you are in that state of mind, even if people are saying intellectual stuffs, it's very difficult that to comprehend that. Okay, very few things will get into your head. In that state of mind. But we'll see. Let's see. We'll read from the Bhagavatam itself. We'll not get into detail, but we'll see what Narad Muni is telling Chitraketu. Okay. So we'll see the text number 2. We'll read only the important points. Okay, not the whole thing, but it's a very nice thing that we all will learn today. Okay. So while King Chitraketu, overcome by lamentation, lay like a dead body at the side of the dead body of his son, the two great sages Narad and Angira instructed him about spiritual consciousness as follows. O king, what relationship the dead body for which you lament have with you? What relationship do you have with him? You may say that you are now related as father and son, but do you think that relationship existed before? Does it truly exist now, or will it continue in future? Okay. O king, the small particles of sand sometimes come together and are sometimes separated due to the force of the waves. The living entities who have accepted the material bodies sometimes come together and then sometimes are separated by the force of time. Okay. So there are some analogies which Narad Muni is giving. Okay. And then finally, what he says is that he gives him a mantra, basically, that you take this mantra, and before that, therefore, O King Chitraketu, carefully consider the position of Atma. In other words, try to understand who you are, whether body, mind, or soul. Consider where you have come from, where you are going after giving up this body, and why you are under control of material lamentation. Try to understand your real position in this way, then, and you will be able to give up all your unnecessary attachments. Okay, and when the attachments are given up, obviously there will be no lamentation. Whether you have something with you, whether you lose something, you will be simply unaffected, right? When you come in your right consciousness. And to explain this very in a more emphatic way, what Narad Muni did was that he brought that son, the dead son of Chitraketu, back to life. Okay, he brought that spirit soul who was in that body, and that spirit soul, you'll be amazed what that spirit soul comes and tells him. Okay, so we'll see what he does. Okay, so now, say, my dear King Parikshit, by his mystic power, the great sage Narad brought the dead son into the vision of all lamenting relatives and then spoke as follows. Now, the Narad Muni is speaking to that particular spirit soul, the spirit soul of the son who had died. Okay. O living entity, all good fortune unto you. Just see your father and mother, all your friends and relatives are overwhelmed with grief because of you passing away. Because you died untimely, the balance of your lifetime still remains. Therefore, you may re enter your body and enjoy the remainder of your life surrounded by your friends and relatives. Accept the royal throne and all the opulences given by your father. So, Narad Muni is giving the option to the dead son, to the spirit soul of that dead son, dead son, right? That you come back in this body and you can just enjoy all the opulences. Now, just see what this soul has to say. Okay. So, he said, according to the results of my fructive activities, I, living being, transmigrate from one body to another. Okay, sometimes going into species of demigods, sometimes into the species of lower animals, sometimes among vegetables, sometimes among human species. Therefore, in which birth were these my father and mother? Now, see, as soon as he quit his body, he came to the consciousness, right consciousness, that he is a spirit soul and he has been transmigrating from time immemorial, right? From one body to another. So now he's not even able to remember that in which lifetime these are father and mother. No, no one is actually my father and mother. He's saying, how can I accept these two people as my parents? Okay. So this is the real consciousness. Okay. And these are all given in our Vedic scriptures. And it's very important to understand that, what the right consciousness is. It's not that okay, I am Abhinav Gauranga Das. There is, my wife is there, my daughter is there, my entire family is there, and this I'm living in a maybe three BHK flat, and all those things are there. See, these are just temporary arrangements. Okay, for a time being, we all have come together, and with time we'll separate out. That's inevitable. That is the nature of this material world. Okay, so so this whole concept of Bhagavad Gita is basically based on this thing. Okay, that you should not remain in this body consciousness. The aim of this human life is to break this attachment, to break this illusion. And once we do that, as long as we are, you know, in this body, then I think, we will be attaining a divine consciousness, right? Like even in the most difficult phases of time of life, we won't be phased. Like, we'll be totally undisturbed. So, and you will see in your day-to-day life also, right? My first experience with this was that, in the school when I had a lot of friends, okay, we had a great time together when we were growing up in the pre-teens, teenage, then all those times. I passed out from the school. Then all my friends went to different colleges and universities. We separated out. Since then, there is no contact. I don't know how many of you are maintaining contacts with your school friends, but no contact, right? Uh, when I came to uh, when I joined my first job, I came across so many different colleagues, right? There were some wonderful colleagues I came across. I still remember there was one very funny guy in my team, and he used to make everyone laugh. Continuously, he used to crack jokes, and he himself used to laugh in a very weird way, and he made everyone laugh. And we were, like that whole environment of the team was very jolly, right? Like, we were just simply enjoying there in the team. And but then, yeah, he also switched the company and then he went away. So for sometimes, yes, a few moments or maybe few days we missed him. We felt that, okay, if he would have been around, things would have been much better. But then, people move on, right? This is life basically, right? And we do that. So even when you lose someone, your close friends or relatives, right? It is the same thing basically, right? People come and go, right? This is the nature of this ever-changing material world. So to get out of the body consciousness is the main topic which Bhagavad Gita deals with and tells us that, if you practice it, then slowly you will be detached from all the attachments which are there, and you will come to your original consciousness, which is Jiver Sharupoy Krishna Nityadas, right? We are all eternal loving servants of Sri Krishna. So we'll move on. Okay, Shweta Mataji said you can read. Mataji, you can read the next two paragraphs.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So there are many examples given of how we are to utilize those things which are set aside for us by the Lord. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita in the beginning. Arjuna decided that he should not fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. This was his own decision. Arjuna told the Lord that it was not possible for him to enjoy the kingdom after killing his own kinsman. This decision was based on the body because he was thinking that the body was himself and that his bodily relations are expansions were his brothers, nephews, brother in laws, grandfathers, and so on. Therefore, he wanted to satisfy his bodily demands. Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord just to change this view. And at the end, Arjuna decides to fight under the directions of the Lord when he says,
Karishye
Karishye
Vachanam Tava.
Vachanam Tava. I shall act according to your word. In this world, men are not meant for quarreling like cats and dogs. Men must be intelligent to realize the importance of human life and refuse to act like ordinary animals. A human being should realize the aim of his life, and this direction is given in all Vedic literatures, and the essence is given in Bhagavad Gita. Vedic literature is meant for human beings, not for animals. Animals can kill other living animals, and there is no question of sin on their part. But if a man kills an animal for the satisfaction of his uncontrolled taste, he must be responsible for breaking the laws of nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly explained that there are three kinds of activities according to the different modes of nature: the activities of goodness, of passion, and of ignorance. Similarly, there are three kinds of eatables also: eatables in goodness, passion, and ignorance. All of this is clearly described, and if we properly utilize the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, then our whole life will become purified, and ultimately we will be able to reach the destination which is beyond this material sky. Yet
Please
Gatva
continue, Mataji. Yeah. Yad gatva na nivartante. Yeah.
Yad ghatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama.
Mama.
That destination is called the Sanatana sky, the eternal spiritual sky. In this material world, we find that everything is temporary. It comes into being, stays for some time, produces some byproducts, dwindles, and then vanishes. That is the law of the material world. Whether we use as an example this body or a piece of fruit or anything. But beyond this temporary world, there is another world of which we have information. That world consists of another nature, which is Sanatana, eternal. The Jiva is also described as Sanatana, eternal, and the Lord is also described as Sanatana in the 11th chapter. We have an intimate relationship with the Lord, and because we are all qualitatively one, the Sanatana Dharma or sky, the Sanatana personality of supreme personality and the Sanatana living entities. The whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to revive our Sanatana occupation or Sanatana Dharma, which is the eternal occupation of the living entity. We are temporarily engaged in different activities, but all of these activities can be purified when we give up all these temporary activities and take up the activities which are prescribed by the Supreme Lord. That is called our pure life.
Pure life. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji. Okay.
Thank you.
So,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. So some more important points here to note, that in this particular age, especially in the Kali Yuga, right, we are all living like cats and dogs, right? I mean, this is what Srila Prabhupada has been saying. In a lot of his lectures you will read, he has often quoted this term that we are living like cats and dogs, and rightly so, right? Because if you look at our lives, okay, human life is basically meant for self-realization. Okay, if we are wasting it in the mundane activities that we are doing, basically, if you just think over it, okay, waiting for some time. Yes. So if you think over it, then what will you find? That there are primarily four activities that we all are doing, okay, which is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Okay. Uh, if you analyze your entire life, it's just revolving around these four activities. Okay? There is nothing extra that we are doing, right? But then these four activities are also being done by all the animals around us. Animals and birds are also doing the same thing. Okay. So what is the difference between the two of them? And actually, animals are doing it better than us, right? Like, can you eat like an elephant 50 kgs a day? I don't think so. No one here can eat 50 kgs a day. Right? Can you sleep like a bear 6 months together, like without waking up in hibernation? No, we can't do that. Right? Can you defend yourself like a lion or a tiger? No, we can't do that. Yes. So animals are performing these four activities better than human beings. So what is the ultimate aim of human life? Right? The ultimate aim is that we are blessed with a higher intelligence. Okay. And once one is blessed with a higher intelligence, obviously they are going to have a higher purpose in life. Okay. How many of you in this group are basically working and who have taken up a role of a manager in your respective companies? You can just raise your hand and give me an indication. Okay. So Sri Devi Mataji is one. So Mataji, I'll ask you to unmute and you have to answer my question. Okay. So since you are working in a company as a manager, so I presume that you must be having a nice sitting place in the office, and some people who are working under you, basically under your guidance, and then there are certain facilities which have been provided to you, right or wrong?
Yes, Prabhuji. Right.
Yes, right. So now just tell me that a person who is working as maybe a housekeeper, right? That person is also an employee of the same company, right? But is that person getting the same kind of facilities which you are getting?
No, Prabhuji.
No, no. Why?
Because he's not that qualified
Mm-hmm.
to get into the role what we are doing,
Mm-hmm.
and has the skills to handle the
Mm-hmm.
team. Yeah, they have their own set of skills
Mm-hmm.
for which they are working,
Mm-hmm.
but not as equal to us.
Not as equal, right? So that means the qualifications and the skills that you are having are basically required to discharge a higher set of duties. Agree? That what you are basically doing
Yes,
is more useful for the organization rather than the tasks which they are performing. Correct?
that's there. But ultimately, without them also, we'll not be able to make our roles in a right
No,
way proposing.
no, that's different thing, Mataji. I mean, just I'm just talking about your designation, not as a person, right? Person
Yeah.
definitely we can employ, or resources we can get, right? But qualification of a manager or responsibilities of a manager are considered to be higher than that of a person who is doing a housekeeping job. Correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So similarly, the intelligence of a human, that exactly is the difference between a human and the other animals also. Correct? Intelligence of a human is also, very highly advanced, right? I mean, we cannot be expected to live a life of an animal just eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Okay, there is a higher purpose to our lives, and we should be very cognizant of that purpose, and we should, deliberately try to, meet that purpose, with each and every activity that we perform in our everyday life. Okay. So, and what is that? That is called as Athato Brahma Jigyasa. That means to inquire about the Supreme. Okay, this is what human life is meant for. It's not just meant for eating, sleeping, waiting, and defending. Yeah, yes, that is also important. As you rightly said, Mataji, that it will be difficult to run an organization without the housekeeping staff. Okay. But then that will come naturally, right? If your organization is doing well, if it has nice resources, nice funds, then you will be able to hire them. Not a problem. But in order to make right resources and right amount of funds, you need some good people who are delivering the good product ultimately to the customers, right? So that the revenue can be generated, right? So same thing is there. So these four activities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, they will come naturally to us, right? I mean, it's not that you will have to work very hard. Does an elephant need to go to an office and work for 12, 14 hours a day? No. Krishna is taking care of these four things, right? Does an ant, small ant, need to go to the office and work for 10 or 14 hours a day? No. Krishna is taking care, right? So similarly, Krishna will take care. That doesn't mean that we should quit our job, sit at home, and Krishna will take care. No, that's not right. Like you will have to work, but the whole point is that from your day-to-day activities, spare some amount of time in thinking of Krishna, in meditating upon his pastimes, name, forms, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna. Chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra at least 2 to 4 rounds every day, right? And then on weekends, try to visit any of the nearest ISKCON temples, engage in some sort of a seva, basically, right? And then your life will be perfect. This is what Srila Prabhupada is saying, that what do we do at our ISKCON centers? We sing kirtans of Krishna, we dance on the kirtans of Krishna, we eat palatable dishes, and then we go back home, back to Godhead. So where is the difficulty, right? So this is what human life is meant for. It's not meant for just eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. You know what it is said here. I'll share my screen again. So it's not meant for quarrel over petty things that we are doing, right? This whole world has become very greedy and power hungry, basically, right? So, okay, this was all described here. Okay, now it comes to the Sanatan Dharma. Okay, now a question for all of you. Again, this is the last section of our discussion today. What is Dharma? Any one of you can answer.
A policy. As we have a company policy, even dharma is kind of a policy which we have to follow or adhere to the principles
Okay.
of Lord Krishna.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Anyone else? Anyone? Please don't hesitate. Whatever is there in your mind, just speak up.
Right way of doing things.
Right way of doing things. That's another good answer. Okay.
It's a lifestyle.
Sorry.
It's a lifestyle.
Lifestyle is okay. Yeah, we can accept that.
Your
So
duties.
basically, yeah. What? Ivana Mataji?
Your duties. Like
Yeah, duties,
daily
exactly.
things. Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, this is what, yeah, Shweta Mataji, you also want to say something? Please go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji. So, like according to the scripts, so we can say like each person will be assigned with a set of prescribed duties, Prabhu, that they need to.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. So it's basically, yeah. And as Sridevi Mataji was also saying the same thing, it's the policies basically, like just like company policies. So basically, it's just a set of duties, responsibilities. For example, I am a man, so I will be taking some set of responsibilities, right? As a son, I have some set of responsibilities. As a brother, I have my responsibilities towards my siblings. As a husband, I have my responsibility towards my wife and my right? And as a father, I have my responsibility towards my kid. And there are so many other things. Okay. So uh, similarly, there are different set of responsibilities for each and every living entity. Okay. So this is known as the dharma. And Sanatan Dharma means that set of prescribed duties which do not change over a period of time. Okay. Like maybe today, say for example, sugar. Okay. So sugar, what is the taste of sugar? Sugar is sweet. Okay, so that is the dharma of sugar. Dharma of sugar is to taste sweet. Now, whether you taste the sugar today, whether you taste it after 3 days, whether you taste it after 5 years, whether you taste it after 10,000 years, the taste is going to remain the same. Okay, so this is known as the eternal dharma or the Sanatan Dharma. Okay? And what is the Sanatan Dharma of all the living entities? It is very nicely spoken in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, one sloka is there. It says, Savay pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje hai tuki apratihata yayatmasu prasidati. Means, Savay pumsam paro dharmo means the eternal dharma, the param dharma of all the living entities is yato bhakti radhokshaje. That means perform bhakti to Adhokshaja. Adhokshaja is the name of Lord Vishnu, basically. Right? And how is this particular dharma performed? It should be ahetuki and it should be apratihata. So ahetuki means without expectation of any results, and apratihata means continuous. No matter what the circumstances are, my bhakti towards Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna will not be deterred in under any circumstances whatsoever. Okay, whether something is good is happening, I will be performing my set of responsibilities. I will be chanting my rounds Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Okay, I will be reading the Bhagavad Gita. If something is not going as per our desires or as per our expectations, even then I will be continuing to perform these activities. So that is the eternal dharma or Sanatan Dharma, right? And all the other responsibilities, like once you surrender unto Krishna, Krishna himself says that Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja, छोड़ो बाकी सब चीजों को. Okay, whatever is there, you just forget about all your other responsibilities. Give up all varieties of religion. Okay, this dharma, that dharma, whatever is there, you just surrender unto me. Okay, I will deliver you from all the sinful reactions. Do not fear. Right. So just as we water the root of the plant and the entire plant is nourished, simply if you just surrender unto Krishna and offer your loving devotional service unto his lotus feet, everything else will fall into place. Trust me on that. Okay, your whole life will come back on track. Like if it's not going as per your expectations, everything else will fall into place. All we need to do is to just surrender ourselves to Krishna. Yes. So this is the whole concept of the Sanatan Dharma. We'll read last two paragraphs or maybe three paragraphs. Yeah. And then we will conclude today's session. So who wants to read next? Vasavi Mataji, would you be able to read? I can increase the font for you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Is this good enough, Mataji, or shall I increase more?
A little more. Yeah.
So we were here. So you can start from here, Mataji, at destination. Oh no, we have read this. Just hold on. This one.
The Supreme Lord and his transcendental abode are both Sanatana, as are the living entities, and the combined association of the Supreme Lord and the living entities in the Sanatana abode is the perfection of human life. The Lord is very kind to the living entities because they are his sons. Lord Krishna declares in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Yonisu
Yonishu.
Aham
Kaunteya, aham bija pradapita.
Aham bija pradhan pita. I am the father of all. Of course, there are all types of living entities according to their various karmas. But here, the Lord claims that He is the father of all of them. Therefore, the Lord descends to reclaim all of these fallen conditioned souls to call them back to the Sanatana eternal sky so that the Sanatana living entity may regain their eternal Sanatana position in eternal association with the Lord. The Lord comes himself in different incarnations, or he sends his confidential servants as sons or his associates as or acharyas to reclaim the conditioned soul. Therefore, Sanatana Dharma does not refer to any secretariat process
Sectarian.
of secretariat process of tradition. It is the eternal function of the eternal living entities in relationship with the eternal Supreme Lord. Sanatana Dharma refers, as stated previously, to the external occupation of the living entity. Sripada Ramanujacharya has explained the word Sanatana as that which has neither beginning nor end. So, when we speak of Sanatana Dharma, we must take it for granted on the authority of Sripada Ramanujacharya that it has neither beginning nor end. The English word religion is a little different from Sanatana Dharma. Religion conveys the idea of faith, and faith may change. One may have faith in a particular process, and he may change his faith and adopt another. But Sanatana Dharma refers to that activity which cannot be changed. For instance, liquidity cannot be taken from water, nor can heat be taken from fire. Similarly, the eternal function of the eternal living entity cannot be taken from the living entity. Sanatana Dharma is eternal integral with the living entity. When we speak of Sanatana Dharma, therefore, we must take in for granted on the authority of Sripada Ramanujacharya that it has neither beginning nor end. That which has neither end nor beginning must be secretariat, for it cannot be limited by any boundaries. Those belonging to some secretariat faith will wrongly consider that Sanatana Dharma is also secretariat. But if we go deeply into the matter and consider it in the light of modern science, it is possible for us to see that Sanatana Dharma is the business of all the people of the world, nay, of all the living entities of the universe.
Thank you so much. No, that's fine, Mataji. I think we should stop here now. Thank you so much, Mataji, for nice reading. And yes, important points to note in this paragraph, in these paragraphs actually, are that Sanatan Dharma, first of all, it's non-sectarian. Okay. Generally, when we speak the word dharma or religion, okay, in English, generally it means it directly relates to faith. Okay. So lot of times, or why lot of times, every time, when we speak this word Sanatan Dharma, people generally associate it with Hinduism, okay? Without even thinking about it. Okay. But then we have seen, like in detail, that what is dharma, what is Sanatan Dharma, what is the eternal, prescribed duty of a living entity, which is also eternal, and it has nothing to do with faith or a particular sect of a religion. Okay, this is applicable for each and every single living entity, whether they are following Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Sikhism, whatever. Okay, the ultimate goal of any living entity is to surrender to that supreme personality. We call it Krishna. Someone else in other faiths may call it by some other name. Okay, just surrender unto them and render loving devotional service unto him. Okay, so this is the Sanatan Dharma. This is the definition of Sanatan Dharma. It has nothing to do with the faith, what we are doing. So it is definitely not related only to Hinduism. Okay? So this is what Sanatan Dharma means. And once we surrender unto Krishna or to the Supreme Personality, whatever name we may choose to call him, with, right? We are not obliged to follow all the other, prescribed duties which we have. Okay, I mean, they are all temporary. Just as I cited an example, if we water the root of the plant, the entire plant is nourished, right? We are not liable to, perform some special, yajnas or sacrifices for different devis and devtas. We are not, obliged to perform any other prescribed duties. Krishna will take care of that, and that kind of promise he gives in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so with that, I would like to pause here. I hope you all listened very attentively, especially the Chitraketu pastime, because that was very important. Uh, because it actually gave us, that why we should not be worried about the body consciousness. Um, and we should try to give up all the attachments that we have. Okay, and that's going to come. Once we start reading the Bhagavad Gita, we will see, different practices that we will follow. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says that, it's very difficult to control the mind. See, this whole entire drama is basically created by the agitated mind. Okay, all the attachments to people, place, animals, and things, which we have, is just the drama which has been created in the mind. And with regular practice and detachment, we can control the mind. This is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Yes. So with that, I would like to pause, and I would like to open the floor for some question and answers, or some realizations. Any good points that you liked in this particular session? What would you like to take away from this session? Something like that. If anyone would like to share, then please go ahead. Anyone?
Prabhuji, I have a question
Yes,
rather
Madam, please go
than
ahead.
takeaway.
Please.
The story which you were reciting about the
Chitraketu.
detachment towards whatever we have, attachment, whatever we have, how do we have to come out of it, which is very temporary. However, like sometimes I feel that do I have to enjoy this moment, or do I have to feel it as subtle? I don't know like how to handle it. I don't get very happy, but I get very sad very easily. But how to control like whatever maybe a happening moment or something which is going wrong. I'm not sure how to handle it. I'm not able to handle it yet.
Right. So basically, that platform is very difficult to achieve. You know what Krishna has said in the Bhagavad Gita, that you will have to basically hit the Anyabhilatita Shunyam platform. Okay, that you do not desire anything. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kangshati. Tama sarveshu bhuteshu yad bhaktim labte param. Right. This is what Krishna says. So one who has reached that Brahma Bhuta stage, right? Na shochati na kangshati. That person doesn't think about anything, and that person doesn't desire for anything. So only when you hit that platform, you will be able to deal with both happiness and distress in the equal manner. Okay, just like take the example of Krishna himself. Right, Krishna is above all the dualities. Okay, good, bad, respect, disrespect, honor, dishonor, love, hatred, anything. Like he's just above everything. Okay, so he does not discriminate between the living entities, right? One who is a devotee of Krishna, that also attains the supreme destination. One who is an enemy of Krishna and who is killed by Krishna himself, they also attain the supreme destination. Okay, so that happens when you rise above all the three modes of material nature, the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. But right now, since as I said that we all are situated in the mode of passion and ignorance in this age of Kali Yuga, so it's very, very, understandable, that we will be moved by some things, the changes which are there in our lives. Okay, something good happens, we'll be super excited. Something bad happens, we'll be, lamenting like anything, right? And as you said, Mataji, that okay, you are not very happy when you get some success, or when you are, some good time is there, but you are easily disturbed when something bad happens, right? So that is, that is also one way, that we are affected by these material modes of nature. Okay, so our goal should be that we need to practice. And when I say we need to practice, that means what we need to do, we need to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. By doing this over a period of time, this actually works wonders. You see, because there is no difference between Krishna and the names of Krishna. When you are chanting these names, that means Krishna is there right in front of you. Okay. So because Krishna is absolute, right? There is no difference between his names, his forms, his pastimes, his qualities, whatever. Okay. So when you are chanting his name, Krishna himself is personally present there, and he is slowly cleansing all the material contamination which is there in your heart, right? So once that heart is cleansed properly, then we will hit the Brahma Bhuta platform, and then after that there will be no attachments with any material things, and there will be no desires basically. So once the attachment is removed automatically and the desires are removed automatically, anything good happens, anything bad happens, you will be level-headed, right? You will take that equally. So it will take time. It's not going to come instantly. But yes, there are four things that we recommend at ISKCON that which will accelerate this process. Okay, that is the ABCD of ISKCON. Okay, A stands for Association of Devotees. That is very, very important. Okay, that is exactly what we are doing right now. Although we are doing it virtually in an online session, but Association of Devotees is very important. At least once or twice a week, you make sure that either you attend a session like this or you visit your nearest ISKCON temple, whichever is convenient for you. Okay. A is Association of Devotees. B is reading the Bhagavad Gita. B for Bhagavad Gita. C is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then finally, D is diet. Okay, that means we eat only Krishna Prasad. You prepare nice sattvic food at your home, offer it to Krishna, and then take it as a prasadam. So if you perform these four things consistently in your day-to-day life, if you make it a part of your day-to-day activities, I'm pretty sure you will hit that Brahmabhuta platform very soon. And then after that, you will be completely level-headed. Nothing can disturb you. Take my words for that. Okay. Did I answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. And last question to you.
Yeah, sure.
During our monthly cycle, what ISKCON says that we can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But if I do that, I see there's some, my mind or my body is not supporting to the chanting. Maybe that has more power or more energy levels, which I'm not able to bear it. Is
Yes.
that okay if I skip?
No. Skipping of the chanting is never, recommended, Mataji. Okay. Do not skip your chanting. You just stick to that. Okay. Keep at it. See, basically what happens during those monthly cycles which you are talking about, there are a lot of hormonal changes also going on inside your body. Okay. And the mood swings are there. And there are so many things. I mean, you can better understand than me, Mataji. Okay. So, but the thing is that uh, so leaving the chanting is not recommended. Initially, yes, because we have just started doing this activity, our mind will always trick us. Okay, in "अरे क्या करना है छोड़ो मतलब बेकार की चीज है why are you wasting time, just go out and enjoy, there is so much, life is waiting, where are you?" Those kind of things will come in your mind. The mind will definitely try all the tricks and different things to just keep you away from chanting, but you just stick at it, and then you will see, Mataji, that slowly you will be able to first you will gain more focus and concentration even during those months, those time of the month, and also your overall chanting and your overall experience while chanting will increase very nicely. I mean, you will start relishing a taste in chanting. Okay, but please do not give it at any stage, because once you give it, then it will be very difficult to start again. So yes, my recommendation is, or anyone else for that matter, they will never recommend you to stop chanting. No matter where you are, in whatever condition you are, something good has happened in your house, something bad has happened in your house, no worries. Okay. Simply Jiver Swarup Hoy, Krishna Rindas. First thing is that we are spirit souls, we are eternal part and parcels of Krishna, and we are loving servants of Krishna. So, being the living servants of Krishna, my first responsibility is to discharge loving devotional service unto Krishna. Okay? That should not stop under any circumstances. So please don't stop chanting, Mataji. Okay? Please continue with that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? Any realizations? Yes, Shweta Mataji is raising her hand. Please, Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So
Yeah.
my takeaway point is like the food, how the food or Krishna Prasadam, what we need to offer, like what we need to avoid while offering as Prasadam to Krishna, and how that food what we eat is directly proportional to the emotions what we get because of the food, like mode of ignorance. I mean, we have read, right? Like all the three modes of food is also there, and that will be an impact on our like transcendental path also, that will empower us. And also the ignorant food, and if it is not sattvic food, then it will obviously pull us away, right? So with
Absolutely.
emotions we will be fallen soul again. So I like that point today, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yes. Very nice point, Mataji. I think very nice realizations, because yes, so the first thing that we have to target, since we all are in the mode of passion and ignorance primarily, okay, sometimes in fluctuations we exhibit the mode of goodness, right? In this age of Kali Yuga. So first activity of all of us should be to elevate ourselves to the point of goodness. Okay. Once we consistently are at the platform of in the mode of goodness consistently, then by Krishna's mercy and by mercy of our spiritual masters, by mercy of the Guru Parampara, we will slowly transcend the three modes. We get above the three modes, and then we will come to the stage called as Shuddha Sattva. Okay, so it will take some time, right? Because we have just started. So I mean, it's not an something that that will happen overnight, but by regular chanting and by following the ABCD, which I have told, I think definitely we will be able to come at least at the stage of uh, Satogun, basically, okay, above the modes of passion and ignorance. Very nice, Mataji. Nice realizations. Anyone else?
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
here I want to know.
Mhm.
Basically, I'm vegetarian,
Mhm.
but in my place, I have to cook non-veg.
Mhm.
How do I go about?
So only thing which I can say, Mataji, see, it's understandable. Okay, first thing is it's completely understandable.
Should I think it is just my duty and go on doing it?
Sorry, Mataji, can you come again, please?
Should I think it is just my duty and I have to just do it?
Yes, initially you have to do that, Mataji, because see, there are two things. Okay, so first thing is a person who has completely given up the material life and has adopted the path of brahmachari or a sannyasi. Okay, and then second path, which all of us sitting here belong, is the path of a grihastha or a householder, right? So for a brahmachari or a sannyasi, there are a certain set of rules, and for a grihastha also there are certain set of rules. And it's not that by following that, okay, a brahmachari, since like he or she is following a different set of rules, so they can make a significant progress, and grihastha can make the progress of grihastha is not that, no, it's completely it's not acceptable. Even a grihastha can make a significant progress provided they follow the rules and regulations which are there in the scriptures. Okay. So, being a grihastha, your first responsibility lies towards your husband and your kids and your family. Okay. So, you will have to do that. I mean, you cannot give up that right away. Okay? We are not at that platform right now. Coming to your eating of non-vegetarian food stuff or cooking of non-vegetarian food, you are a vegetarian, you said, right? So continue doing that. Okay. Sometimes, like we have seen, this has been our practical experience that we have seen an entire family change, 180 degrees. It's because one family member was practicing bhakti very seriously. Okay, try to set an example by your actions. Okay, be very regular in your sadhana. Okay, do not miss your sadhana under any circumstances. Read the Bhagavad Gita every day. Try to, and I'm pretty sure that you are doing it because you are one of the senior members of my Bhakti Vriksha. So yes, I am pretty sure that you are doing it, and you have also shown keen interest in reading the Bhagavad Gita. So just keep doing that. Okay, keep at it, and pray to Krishna with a very sincere heart that just show them the path. People who are eating non-vegetarian food in your family, that try to make a drastic change in your day-to-day activities. and this also is there with your family. Okay, you cannot just give it up. Okay, so don't worry, just keep at it and have full faith in Krishna. We just need to be like, we just need to be like Draupadi, right? When she was being disrobed in the what to say, uh, the courtroom of Hastinapur, right? What did she do? She simply raised her hands and Govinda, Govinda, completely just, you do whatever you want me to do, right? When Srila Prabhupada landed in United States of America, right? What was there? 40 rupees was there in his pocket. He didn't know where to go, whether to go left, whether to go right, whether to go front. Like he had no clue whatsoever. But very beautiful prayer he wrote on the Jala Duta just before getting down. That by the order of my spiritual master, I am here, O Krishna. Now I am like a puppet in your hands. You make me dance as per your desires. Okay. So just with that mood, you just surrender completely to Krishna, pray to him every day, and be very pakka in your sadhana. Okay, don't leave your sadhana and just try to set an example for the other people at your home. And I'm pretty sure that Krishna will listen to your prayers and slowly will start seeing the changes. If not, then at least you will be making significant progress on the path of bhakti. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay, so I think it's about almost 6:30 now. So I'd like to end the session. Thank you so much for joining in. And please keep joining in every day. I mean, every day, not every week, like this. And we will have some good discussions. We will progress nicely in Krishna consciousness. And this is just the introduction. Things will become more interesting once we start reading each and every shloka, and we'll try to understand each and every shloka, right? So then the real, what to say, nectar of Bhagavad Gita will actually manifest. Okay. So just keep at it, keep coming in these sessions like this, and association of devotees is very important. Today, I will also share the attendance sheet that which are the people who are regular. Although it's just the first month, we will try to give some time to all the other people till at least June. What I'm planning. After June, if still some people are not interested, then we will see what can be done. But yeah, so that's it. Thank you so much, all. Hare Krishna.